Anna was born in Russia, is 25 years old. She was involved in First Priority in high school and served as president of her First Priority Club. She's currently a high school English teacher in Tampa and getting her master's degree at the University of South Florida. She attends an Eastern Orthodox church. And then, oh, Anna, will you wave just so everyone can? Okay, there you go. Awesome. Next, we have Audrey Everett. Audrey, will you wave for us? Perfect. Audrey was born in San Diego, California. She's 20 years old. She was involved in First Priority during middle school and served as president in high school. She's finishing her degree in environmental science and policy at the University of South Florida and works as the student safety outreach coordinator and student researcher at the Center for Urban Transportation Research. She's currently attending Covenant Hope Church. And then next we have Christian Germano. He was born, or Christian, you can wave. Christian was born in Burbank, California. He's 23 years old. He was involved in First Party during high school and served as president as well. He is currently attending college at Southeastern University for a degree in ministry. He works part-time in a coffee shop and attends Radiant Church. So that's Christian. And then last but definitely not least, we have Luke Hudson. Luke, you can wave. Luke was born in Tampa, Florida. He was involved in First Party during high school and served as the main leader. He is currently studying mechanical and aerospace engineering at the University of Florida and attends North Central Baptist Church. So we're so excited to have all of our panelists from all have the common denominator of being a part of a First Priority club at one point, but now we're at all different walks of life, which is so cool.
Thank you so much, Sienna. And now we're going to turn the program over to Lane Johansson. She is teaching English at the University of Applied Sciences in Nysa, Poland. She will be there for this year, and she is on a Fulbright scholarship, and that is why she's there. And this is part of her outreach program. So Lane, we're going to turn over to you. If you can introduce your students, and please tell and introduce Sebastian, and then if you will get started with the questions and answers.
Okay, wonderful. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. It's amazing to see so many familiar faces. I feel so blessed right now. A quick background on my students, the ones that are in attendance and in general. They're all studying English philology at the University of Applied Sciences in Nysa. It's a 3-year bachelor's degree. So whereas in the US we have 4-year degrees, in most of Europe, they're 3-year degrees. So we have students from all 3 years who are studying English philology, and they get to choose after their first year to specialize in translation or teaching. The majority of my students are from Nysa or surrounding towns and villages. And then we have several students who are I also have several students who are from Ukraine. Unfortunately, a lot of my students had to work today. I was very surprised by how many people work on the weekends here, how many students work on the weekends. I think that is very impressive. I would be exhausted personally. So I will have to read the questions or have other students read questions from students who were not able to attend today because they're working. But for those who were able to attend, I really do appreciate you showing up, giving us your time. Also, I wanted to make sure when other people were speaking, it felt like my internet was cutting in and out. So I don't know if I'm coming through clearly or if I am. Okay, great. I was worried that I would also get cut out a bit. Okay, so I am going to, for the students that submitted questions that were chosen, I will have them introduce themselves. And I've already messaged you if you will be doing this, so hopefully you're aware and prepared. So when you do introduce yourself, please say your name, your year, and your specialization if you've already chosen it. So if you are doing the translation or teaching specialization, and then read the question. And for those who could not make it, I will read the question. So to start with, we have a question from Ada Kushwa, who unfortunately could not be here today. So I will read this question to start with. And this first question is for our panelist, Anna. So Anna, Ada is interested in knowing if crimes that are committed by priests, pastors, or churches are a topic of exuberant discussion in Christian society, or if this is a more closed topic. And she asks that you share some conclusions or potentially solutions that you have considered for this question.
First, I think that's a really good question and one that a lot of people are afraid to ask, and I'm very happy to answer it. Yes, it is a topic of discussion, and people tend to lean to one extreme or the other. One is, oh, they're a horrible person. I don't believe in God. Like I'm done with Christianity. I'm out the door. And other people say, well, no, they're a position of higher standing, and of course they didn't do it. Like why would they do that? So I noticed that people go one extreme or the other, and I think the honest truth is it has to be somewhere in the middle. And this is across denomination too. It doesn't matter if you're Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, whatever. I've seen this happen across the board, but I think the best and most healthy answer that I've seen that I had to experience myself was you have to see them as a human being where they fall, they do things that are wrong, regardless of their position, and it's sad overall that that happens. So you need to approach it with grace and understanding, but there also has to be some sort of justice aligned too. So if they truly did something wrong, it has to be addressed by the court system or by the community, or if there's a case where they really didn't do anything wrong and people just want to say they did something wrong because they're in a higher position or simply because they're Christian, then that needs to be addressed as well. But regardless of the situation, it's sad, and there needs to be a level-headed and discerning mind while approaching those issues. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. That was a great answer. Thank you. Okay, so before we move to our next question, I just wanted to give a reminder, if you're not speaking, and I think everyone is doing this right now, but in general, if you're not speaking, please keep your microphone muted, because sometimes people accidentally leave them unmuted and then it just leads to a lot of echoes. So I think we're doing good for now, but just keep that in mind. So our next question for Anna is from Katarzyna Truskowska, who's one of our first year students who could not attend. So Paulina Biela will be reading for us.
Hello, my name is Paulina Biela and I'm studying at the University of Applied Science in Nysa. I am a second-year student with specialization in teaching. And my question is, how does the media portray Christianity in America? Thank you.
It's nice to meet you. Depends on the media. America's full of different opinions, and that's part of what's good about our country, but it can also be a downfall where some people portray Christianity as like the one track of all thinking, where like, yeah, yes, I believe that Jesus is God and God exists and he's involved in our lives, but that can be a very, very narrow-minded perspective sometimes, where people don't allow to hear any other opinion other than that. But I think you have to have a healthy relationship with other people. And I think if God didn't want a diverse world, he wouldn't have created it that way. So you have to hear other perspectives and be humble. And but there's also a lot of backlash and a lot of negative opinions on Christianity, and that's hard for a lot of people. And unfortunately, it's more common to hear the negative than the positive of the Christian perspective. But maybe it'll turn around in the next 100 years or so.
So thank you, Anna. Our next question for you will be read by Natalia.
Okay, hello. So my name is Natalia and I'm a third year student of English philology with specialization in teaching. And I have a question. Have you ever encountered moments when your faith was tested during your career or university time? And how did you respond to that? Thank you.
The experience that stuck out the most was my first year of college. I used to be Protestant and then I switched to Eastern Orthodox, but my first year of college, I went to a Christian Bible college and I was exposed to a lot of different opinions. And it was hard to sort of figure out what do I really think, what do I really believe, what am I willing to die for, what am I willing to live for, and that was very, very hard. But in the end, I chose to try to look at different perspectives and try to look at like, okay, what where is God in the midst of all these different opinions and different thoughts. And while I did choose to attend a different denomination, I still believe that like God created all of us, and it's my job to be humble and to be kind and to be open-minded, as I would like someone to be kind and open-minded to me. So that's my responsibility to do that.
Wonderful. That was a beautiful answer. Okay, Anna, our next question will be read by Nadia.
Hello, my name is Nadia, and I'm a third-year student specializing in teaching English. And the question is, what strategies or habits have you developed to stay connected to God amidst the demands of work life?
That's a very good question because life can get busy and you can forget in a way to try to stay connected to God. But the things that have helped me the most is making it a priority to go to church every Sunday. We need that center to align us and to give us a place to go and hopefully rest. And remember that, God's with us. I sing in our choir. So that gives me a lot of happiness and a lot of joy. And so there's that. There's the weekly commitment every week, being involved in the church. Like I said, I'm in the choir. That's really important to be connected to a community. But in just my day-to-day life, I'm trying to remember to pray. And I'll be honest, I don't always do that. I'm not a perfect example of that. But even if I'm stressed or I have a student who really, really annoys me, I just have to stop and say, okay, Lord, help me. And that's it. And that's just like that short little prayer is like enough. And doing my best to read the Bible, even if it's just a tiny bit, just something to keep me grounded. It doesn't have to be the most, it doesn't have to be a lot, but just small little things help me to be connected to God in my day-to-day life.
Wonderful. Okay, our next question is from Agnieszka Skóra, and I honestly can't tell if she's here or not because I know we have Anne. Yeah, oh, she is. Great. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Please read
Hi,
Christian.
hi. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Yes. Hi, my name is Agnieszka, and I'm currently studying English philology in Nysa, and I'm specialized in teaching, and I'm writing my thesis. And I would like to know how the experiences of suffering and difficulties in life be integrated into Christian faith and hope in the 21st century. Thank you.
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking. All of your questions were really good, by the way. Suffering is hard, and a lot of people use suffering as almost like a weapon to say, well, why should I believe in God if he allowed suffering? But suffering has a couple purposes. And one of them is humility, your own humility. Sometimes we need to be knocked down if we think we're great or we think we're doing well in life. We need to experience a little bit of suffering to get another perspective on life and on people. And sometimes suffering happens and we don't know why it happens. And I don't know why. Like there are things I've experienced that I say, do I deserve this? I don't know. It's awful. I don't know why I'm going through it. I don't know. And sometimes the answer is, I don't know. But what gets me through it is believing that that God is merciful, but he's also a judge, and he sees everything, including our hearts and our minds and our intentions and the things we're aware and unaware of in ourselves and in other people. And he will eventually judge that. And whether it's in this life or in the next, like, justice will be done to people who harm us, or the situations that were unfair will be somehow corrected. And I think sort of goes back to my previous answer, like having a community of people who love you, care about you, have a similar mindset is very, very helpful. Uh, just little prayers. Sometimes in suffering, we don't feel like reading the Psalms as prayers, and that's fine. And sometimes just a little prayer in the Orthodox Church, we say, like, Lord, have mercy, and that's it. That's all we say, and that's all we have energy for, and that prayer is heard. So, and also knowing too, like, throughout history, like, I'm not the first person to suffer something, or these, like, this is not the first time Christianity's been persecuted. Like, I'm not the only one who's been through this. So that's helpful too, knowing that there's a history and a legacy of Christianity that I can look up to, and the people who suffer as well. And in the 21st century, it's harder with social media, but it's still all the same. Like, I don't think problems are that new, if so to speak. Like, there was always the news, there was always propaganda, there was always people who were mean, people who were evil, that always existed from the beginning of time. So while social media is new, evil is not new, and misinformation is not new. So that gives me some encouragement as well. So I think just staying true to yourself, just, staying in a community that helps you, not letting people determine what you think and what you do, and how your heart is important. And you have to guard your heart, otherwise you're going to rot, in a sense. So that's my long-winded answer for a short and very good question. So
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anna. We really appreciate you being here. And you are right. The questions that the students submitted are so good. I was honestly very impressed by the level of them, and some of them are quite hard-hitting. Yeah, I really appreciate them not holding back and asking like real and meaningful questions. And I really appreciate our panelists as well for being able to engage with these questions. You're all very impressive, and I appreciate you very much. So those are all of our questions for Anna, who answered them wonderfully. And now we will be moving to our second panelist, Audrey Everett. Okay, our first question for Audrey will be, it's from Paulina Biela again.
Hello, it's Paulina again. My question is, how did being part of First Priority in middle and high school help you grow in your faith?
Thank you. That's a great question. Being part of First Priority in middle and high school was super important to me because I had just become a Christian. And so it was a really great opportunity to meet other students who were in their faith. And also with the way that First Priority is structured and the questions we ask and the lessons we do in our groups, it really helped me have a deep understanding of what it means to be saved, who the Holy Spirit is, all these core questions. Why is there suffering? It helped me understand all of those deep issues in a time in my life where everyone is questioning that and trying to figure out who they are. And so it was super helpful for me to understand, okay, what do I believe and how do I live that out, especially in high school, which was really hard for me, being just very different person. I wasn't necessarily popular. So it was very helpful to have that community and have my identity be in that Jesus loves me and not trying to prove my worth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Audrey. Our next question is from Fabiola.
Good afternoon. So my name is Fabiola. I'm first year student of English philology, and my question is, how does religious diversity affect the university or college experience?
That's a great question. At my university, there's a lot of Jewish students and there's some Muslim students, but there's a very large portion of atheist students as well. And so I think in general, people are very um, open to diversity, especially with other religions, but Christianity has almost had a bad representation in the modern age. And so a lot of people initially may think, oh, Christianity, they don't like us. They don't like, the Jews or the atheists or whoever else is on campus. But once you actually have conversations with people, they can come to respect your opinions, and draw connections between each other's faiths. So it's really a lot of misunderstanding from people not actually meeting to and talking with people from different faiths. But once we do, it can make a really interesting university experience because you're exposed to so many different viewpoints, even within Christianity. Um, I go to a campus ministry with students from all kinds of different denominations. There's Catholics, Orthodox, Protestants, and when we meet every week together, it's so interesting to hear everyone's perspectives and viewpoints. And we learn more about each other and we learn more about ourselves and who God is because of those conversations.
Beautiful. Thank you, Audrey. Our next question is from Maya.
Hey everyone, can you see me?
I kind of hear you, you're just very quiet.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Maybe speak a little bit more loudly.
Okay, so my name is Maya and I am a second year student in Nysa, specializing in teaching. And my question is, how are Christians in America responding to the growing trend of religious skepticism or atheism?
Would say it depends on what kind of Christian community you're in, because each one has a different response. But I think in an overall view, I think there's a lot of Christians who are taking opportunity with the questions that people have to answer those. And so a lot of churches that I have attended try to answer a lot of these hard questions that skeptics have. I know that on my college campus, we have a ministry that is meant to target people who may have questions or are skeptical. So I think while there is a growing trend of skepticism and atheism, I also think there is a growing trend of Christians trying to understand atheists better than we have in the past and trying to be more empathetic and understanding their questions. But of course, that's different everywhere you kind of go because there are some people who are Christians and get very defensive about their beliefs, especially when they try and tie their beliefs into politics. So it depends, but I think generally, I think a lot of churches and Christian communities are trying to answer those questions and trying to battle that skepticism that we see in the larger world and the media.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, our next question is coming from Piotr Wiczak from year 2. He unfortunately could not attend, so I will ask this one. Audrey, why do you think so many Christians are hostile toward LGBTQ plus individuals?
Yeah, I think at the heart of it, it comes down to there's people who genuinely believe that that kind of lifestyle is not healthy for themselves, uh, or are afraid that it is going to somehow threaten their life. But they have this genuine belief that this is something really bad and really harmful. But a lot of people, if they are not from the LGBTQ community, don't understand what it's like to go through that. And so they simply think it's something that you just stop, and that you're making these choices to live this kind of lifestyle, without understanding that this is a topic that is very much intertwined with love and relationships. And so it's a very difficult conversation, and it's not, you can't just tell somebody stop being gay. Like, it's a whole lifestyle change. And so I think a lot of Christians who are hostile towards LGBTQ folk, they don't understand what those people are going through. Now, in recent years, I would say I've seen a lot of Christians become a lot more understanding of LGBTQ folk. I have some in my Christian campus ministry, and we're just trying to have open communication with them. But it can be very hard if you believe something is wrong and you want to tell people that it's wrong, and you want them to live a better life and find joy in other ways, but you don't understand the struggles that they are going through. And so that can create hostility. Also, when Christians view themselves as God and think that you have to be straight to be saved, or you have to be perfect before you can come to Jesus, which is not true. But yeah, a big part of it is pride and not understanding this community that creates the hostility.
Yeah, thank you, Audrey. Okay, our next question is going to be read by Natalia.
Okay, yes, so it's me again, and I have a question. What do you do when your friends have different beliefs too?
That's a great question. I have a lot of friends that have very different beliefs from me. And I don't try to preach at them or do anything like that. I just kind of choose to live my life the way I do. I try and follow the commandments, and I try to live out Jesus's love, and I try to just reflect Jesus's love to everyone. And so through that, or when we're in certain situations, faith may come up and I will share that. Or if we're having a deeper conversation about our struggles or how life is going, I will bring that up. It's difficult because sometimes you're not sure what you can share with a certain friend, if it is going to upset them, or if they are willing to hear it. I definitely have some friends who do not want to hear about faith at all, and they're very closed-minded and pushed off to it. So with them, I'm just a lot more gentle, and I meet them where they're at. And, we start with conversations that they're comfortable with, and I share if I'm asked. But I also like to really ask people about their beliefs. So if I have a friend of a different religion, I love to ask, oh, so why do you do this tradition? And what does that mean to you? And then I can usually bridge the gap and be like, that's really interesting. We do this because of these reasons. Or isn't it beautiful to see how, even if we believe in a different God, like, isn't it amazing to see how God works in such a way? And so it's really about having conversations with people and having relationships, because it does not offend me when my friends have different beliefs. It's I find it really interesting and can be very fun to have those conversations. And I always invite them to come to church or come to my campus ministry with me. But if they say no, that's okay, because it's not my job to convert them or make them think a certain way. It's just my job to be a good friend and a good representation of Jesus.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Audrey. I really admire how your approach to the world and to others is so rooted in humility and love and compassion. I think it's very wonderful. Okay, so those were all the questions for Audrey, and we will now be moving to our next panelist, Christian Germano. Our first question for Christian will be read by Rhea.
Hello, my name is Rea. I'm a student of third year of English philology, and I specialize in teaching English. And the question from me is, do you think that the United States is a tolerant country in terms of religion? And if yes, then why?
Yes, hi Rhea. Thank you so much for asking that question. I do believe that the United States is very tolerant of all religions. I came from majority of this panel served on an organization called First Priority, where a lot of Christian students from different denominations collaborated and cooperated together to help share the love of Jesus to their fellow brothers and sisters who may not be practicing the Christian faith or maybe practicing of a other religion. And in many families, including my own, my stepdad came from Iran, and his family grew up non-practicing Muslim. So, in my own personal life, I've kind of walked the walk of tolerance and accepting and embracing other people's beliefs. So, to answer your question, yes, I do believe the United States does a pretty good job with um, allowing people to express their religion and be able to fellowship in their own formats of community, whether that would be a church, temple, or a mosque.
Great, thank you. Our next question, Christian, will be read by Nadia.
So the next question is, what is the hardest part of living as Christian in America today, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking, Nadia. America is a very fast-paced and hardworking country. I would say that. And sometimes in my personal Christian walk, I find it very beneficial to try to slow down. And it's a little bit hard to slow down in a very fast-paced country. So I will also say that. But also in the age group that I'm in, a lot of young adults love to go out and have fun, and sometimes that's as a Christian man, that sometimes I cannot go out with friends and have fun. I would sometimes have to prioritize spending time with the Lord or studying for my school. So those are some ways that I can come up with off of the top of my head on what makes it hard to be a Christian in American society.
So our next question will be read by Maya.
Hi again. So my question is, what role does technology, including social media, play in shaping the modern Christian experience, both positively and negatively?
Definitely. Yeah, so social media is very huge. I'm pretty sure you all are familiar with multiple platforms, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. I know that a lot of people in my age group, in the young adult, early 20s age group, love to use TikTok for their social media. And I've noticed that a lot of people, and even I'm noticing this on Instagram as well, that a lot of people are posting scriptures or posting their devotion time with the Lord and on their morning times spent with God. I know that a lot of them are reposting them going to church with their boyfriends and girlfriends or their families. So I believe that social media is used as a conduit to promote, their walk with the Lord, and I think it is building a curiosity of people wanting to explore what Christianity or a walk with the Lord looks like. So that's how I see it very beneficial to Christianity. But on the other side, because it's such a mass communication conduit, there's people with beliefs who can use that to possibly maybe express their own opinions about Christianity as well.
Wonderful. Our next question is from Ula Kowalczyk, who actually has a volleyball game today, so she cannot attend. I will read her question for her. Are there any practical habits or routines that have helped you stay connected to your faith?
Absolutely. That's a very good question. When I was starting out in my walk with the Lord as a young teenager, my youth pastor, the person who was actively discipling me or raising me up and growing me in my Christian walk, taught me of certain Bible study methods. There's some acronyms that could be very helpful. One thing that I've learned was the SOAP method, which is S is for scripture, O is for observation of that scripture, A is for the application of that scripture, and P is for prayer. So, and when I go into my personal times with the Lord, I tend to write down a journal of scriptures and how I can pray those scriptures over myself. And and also I find myself getting away into going to the beach, experiencing some solitude, finding myself to be alone can be a great way for me to connect with God in my daily and weekly practices.
I remember the SOAP method. Thank you, Christian. And then our last question for Christian is from Agnieszka. Skóra.
Hi again. My question is it really so joyful in America, in the church, that everyone sings and no one judges anyone?
Yes, absolutely. I think we are the church in America is very accepting of all expressions of worship. I personally go to a non-denominational uh, church, and the way that worship is done is that everyone lifts up their hands as the music is being played, and there's lights flashing all over the room. So that's just that is the environment that I've been in, and I've seen worship done that way. I've seen worship where people jump up in the sanctuary and dance as they are singing the worship songs. So I do believe that the American church is a joyful experience for people to worship and connect with God.
Awesome, thank you. And then could you touch a bit on the kind of the judgment piece? Like, is it true that no one in American churches judge others?
Yeah, to be quite honest, it is very dependent on the personal individual. I myself am a person who is not judgmental. Everyone has a story, everyone has a personal walk, and you never know what the person is going through who is worshiping. So I choose not to think that judgment is something happening too much in the Christian church.
Awesome. So those are all the questions that we have for Christian. Thank you so much for joining us today, Christian. It's true. I have visited his church once, and it is a whole, there's lights everywhere. It's the whole production, lots of singing. It's very exciting. Okay, we will now move to our final panelist, Luke. And I'm not sure if she got my message on time, but if she did, the first question will be read by Natalia Podburna.
Yes, I'm here. And my question is, do you believe student-led faith organizations like First Priority have a significant impact on the school environment? And if so, then...
Okay, so yeah, I'd say that probably one of the biggest impacts that these faith-based organizations have on the school environment is it gives people an interconnectedness. And so the same way like people go to school in order to be with their friends, it's giving people kind of those conversations that they may not have otherwise. And I found that to be a big motivator for me, as well as some of the other people who went to my high school to join these organizations. And then also in college, what I've seen is it gives people an automatic community. And so they have this feeling of connectedness to a group of people at the university, especially as a freshman. It's wonderful to have that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. Our next question is coming from Natalia Ciepla, who's in the first year. I can't tell if she's here or not because there is a Natalia with no last name, but just in case it's not her, I'll go ahead and read the question. How do you stay strong in your faith when the world often has different values?
So one of the best ways that's worked for me is um, my dad raised me to be very logical in my thinking, and so thinking about like what's going to happen because of taking this action. And one of the things that's nice about Christianity is it helps you to think more about your personal values. And so whenever you look at those and you think long term, it gives you a much better ground to make decisions for.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Like approaching it from a logical, rational lens, feeling grounded. Our next question is from Nadia.
So, what advice would you give to someone struggling to live out their faith in a culture that often seems at odds with Christian beliefs?
So this is especially a big one going to a big university is you see all these people like doing stuff that like for example I know that I'm not really interested in, but then it's like everyone around you is taking part in this culture that uh, goes against your beliefs. And so the biggest thing that I found for me is finding a community. And like what Audrey said, the campus ministry is a wonderful way to find a community of people who have those same values and really be able to build that connection to them. And so what's happened for me is I've ended up seeing people from my campus ministry pretty much daily. We just like hang out because we're just like one big friend group.
That's so sweet. I love it. I feel like several of you have emphasized the importance of community and fellowship. I think that's beautiful. Okay, our next question is will be read by Paulina.
If you were to give advice to young Christians, what would it be?
So definitely, like Lane just said, finding a community. Um, cannot stress how great that's been for me. But then another thing is, um, I whenever I've heard this question before with like other friends, and one of the things that comes to mind is a study where they were looking into reading your Bible, and they found that it's like once you are reading the Bible like 4 times in a week, then there's some very drastic mental benefits that happen where it's like I think it's just the fact that you are taking that time out of your week to kind of just pause and think about things. I think that's really helpful. And so, especially as a Christian, whenever you're getting all this stuff thrown at you, um, it's really wonderful to be able to just pause and just think through things.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And then our final question is coming from Maya.
Hello again. How are younger generations redefining what it means to be a Christian in modern America?
So, one of the main things that I've seen is it's going back to like the whole like what would Jesus do thing. And so thinking about what Jesus would actually be doing in this situation is it's helping to kind of change the whole um, stereotype of Christianity in America where everyone who's not a Christian sees Christians as judgmental. And that's um, really hurt people's attitudes towards Christianity. And so we're now realizing, okay, instead of just going and saying, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, um, getting to really know the person first and be able to come at it from a place of love. And that's, I think, the biggest change that I've noticed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Luke. Okay, awesome. Those are all the questions that we have today. I am genuinely so grateful to and impressed by my students, as well as the panelists. And I have to say that that final question, Maya, it was beautiful. Very good one. So how are the younger generations redefining what it means to be Christian in a modern America, in a modern world? Honestly, I feel like the four panelists that we had are such a good answer to this question, the way that they themselves answered these questions and kind of their background. So we have four panelists from various denominations. There's a Baptist, Pentecostal, Eastern Orthodox, non-denominational. So we have a variety of religious backgrounds, variety of experiences, but also all four of you mentioned the importance of love and humility and mercy and forming real relationships with other people, getting to know them first instead of making it the priority to just convert them and convince them that your ways are right and they need to become like you. And I think, Luke, exactly what you just said is that so many Christians in America today are realizing that that's not an effective approach and it's not rooted in love, it's not Christ-like, and are now choosing to prioritize community and fellowship building. I think that that's honestly the perfect answer to this question, and it's why I was so excited to have you on as panelists, because I think that you are the perfect reflection of changes in religion and Christianity, the religious landscape in the United States today. And I really am incredibly grateful for this opportunity to kind of communicate that to people over here in Poland who may not necessarily have exposure in other ways to I guess people who have experienced this and have the opportunity to ask these questions. So those are all questions that we have, and I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else that I need to do. I'm going to pass the floor to Amber.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm wondering if one of your students, Lane, would be willing to, maybe Maya, tell us what the weather's like there, what time it is, and what the weather's like in Poland.
So it's like 5 p.m. and it's really cold. It's pretty cold.
Is it
It's
snowing?
not snowy, no, but it's pretty cold.
Okay, is it, has it snowed there in the last few days?
There was snow, but like for a few hours and it melted. So
Okay.
yeah.
How cold? What is it in Celsius?
In Celsius is like 1 Celsius.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's
That
pretty
sounds really
cold because
cold.
last week it was like 4. So yeah,
Well, it'll be beautiful
it's
for
changing.
Christmas, I bet.
Yes, exactly.
That's wonderful. Thank you. All right, so I think that's going to conclude our today's symposium. We want to thank all of the students in Poland who put together these questions. There were actually quite a few more questions, and we were very impressed with them. So thank you for taking the time to submit them, for asking the tough questions. That's very important. We at First Party value that. I also want to thank our panelists. I've known all of these students since they were in high school and can honestly say that they are humble, loving, genuine people. So I am grateful to each of you for taking time to be here. I also want to thank Sienna for working with them and prepping them. And I want to thank Sebastian for allowing Lane to do this project, and Karina, our executive director, for leading our team. And finally, I want to thank Lane for making this happen. This was something that we have been talking about for a while and really enjoy the opportunity. It's so fantastic to come together with students in Poland, to see you, to hear from you, to interact with you, and to just share this morning with you. So thank you for your time. If you have other questions from our discussion today, please let Lane know and you can forward them to us and we will answer them. We want to be an open resource for you and any questions you may have about America. So thank you again for everybody who logged on with us this morning. It's been such a gift to be with you, to see your beautiful faces, and to I'm just going to say it to talk about God. So thank you for that. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We will have this recording available. So if you would like to have that, please let me know. So I'm going to put the view of everybody on. And again, I want to thank everybody who has joined us. Thank you, Sebastian, for making this possible with us and for us. And I hope that you all feel encouraged and that you have a wonderful Christmas as we celebrate the birth of Jesus and why he came, and that you feel his love in a new way and that you feel closer to him. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But God bless you and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention this at the beginning. So Sebastian Zatilny is my mentor teacher. He's wonderful. But Agnieszka Kaczmarek also joined us, and she was the Fulbright mentor for the ETA last year, and is a member of the English philology faculty at Pons Nysa. So it's wonderful that she joined us.
Will you guys wave again so everybody can see you? Sebastian, will you wave?
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to know, to say that Agnieszka submitted application for Lane, so due to her.
I'm indebted to Agnieszka.
All right, well then we absolutely need you to say something in Polish, Sebastian. Give us your best Polish.
Oh gosh, the first thing I would like to say, you really don't want to know what's the weather like in Poland nowadays. What I can say in Polish, oh gosh. Yeah, I can give you some Polish town names like Dzierżoniów, Jędrzejów, and Częstochowa.
I don't know what any of that means, but go for it.
Yeah, but don't worry, Nysa is the easiest one.
Easiest.
You can tell us Merry
want
Christmas in Polish.
The names, yeah.
Wait, that's a good idea. Anna asked how you say Merry Christmas in Polish.
Wesołych świąt. Wesołych świąt Bożego Narodzenia. Yeah, am I right?
Wow, that's a lot.
As
God bless you guys for
Polish.
learning English, because if I had to learn another language, it would be awful. No. So thank you for being willing to speak our language. Lane, any other comments or any other?
Honestly, my last comment, I really was worried that this would take like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and y'all were on top of it with time management. So I'm quite impressed and thankful. Our panelists, you guys kept it short and sweet, but still gave great answers. So we did this in an hour. I appreciate everyone's time, appreciate their commitment and punctuality, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Maybe we can do another one in the spring with a different format. Hint, hint, Sebastian.
Oh, you are always welcome.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Bye. Again, thank you so much, you all. I think we're going to sign off. Have a beautiful weekend and a Merry, Merry Christmas. And hopefully we will see you again in the spring.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.